welcome to another episode on Economy Today on TVRC. My name is Kolawole Itunoloa. Joining me on set today is Mr. Akintunde Somi Vincent. You're welcome, sir. He's a lead analyst on TVRC, an educationist, and also an economist. We are bringing to you another interesting topic today that says economic diversification in Nigeria, a panacea to post-oil policy. Economic diversification in Nigeria, a panacea to post-oil policy. As we all know that economic diversification can be defined as a shift towards a more varied structure of domestic production and trade with a view of increasing productivity, creating jobs, and providing the base for sustained poverty-reducing growth. Come to think of it, Nigeria is a blessed country, as we all know that. We are blessed with so many natural resources. We are blessed with so many things. But still yet, we are still struggling to achieve our set goals and objectives, which has been causing a lot of economic meltdown to the world. And there is increase in poverty rate. Nigeria's major development challenge is not on oil structure, but of achieving economic diversification towards its dependence on oil revenue. So come to think of it, Nigeria concentrates more on oil. We're not supposed to concentrate more on oil. So Nigeria concentrates more on oil sector rather than concentrating on other sectors that can promote economic growth. So today we are going to be looking at the solutions for us to correct these issues that we are facing. So I'm going to be welcoming my guests one more time on set. Mr. Akintunde, welcome on set.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
Fine.
Wow, thank you so much for honoring us once again. All right, let's start with this question. Viewers at home, I want you to pay attention as my guest will be saying something that you can actually gain. So let's start with this question. Is the country really trying all means to diversify the economy?
Well, it's so nice to be here today. Despite the promises from successive government to diversify the economy, there's still this over-dependency on crude oil. And the dependency is so heavy and it's so massive, as compared to the way they ought to have focused on other sectors.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Akintunde. That was a very lovely answer. So to my next question, Mr. Akintunde, I want to ask you this. Why do you think this country is not diversifying?
Well, don't forget that the huge amount of income as regards the one that really contributes to the corpus of the federation is gotten from petroleum, and it is believed by some politicians or by those in the government that getting money from other sectors is more or less like it's in arithmetic progression. It's not really very fast. For instance, money from agricultural produce. Some people believe that just what we are producing, we have agricultural produce here, we also have the same in other countries. Like, let me cite an example, cocoa production. And it is produced in mass in the western part of Nigeria. But if you also go to Ghana, it is also it is highly produced in Ghana. It is also the same thing in Ivory Coast. It is the same in other countries. So they believe that getting a sustainable amount of money from those products seems very slow compared to petroleum. Don't forget that in Nigeria, whereas we are so blessed that we have one of the best crude oil products in. Not just in Africa, all over the world. So we also one of the largest. We have one of the largest deposits of this crude oil. So people believe that through crude oil, with the money comes in, in an exponential rate. When you look at it in a very high progression, as against the other sectors that produce little or nothing.
All right, thank you so much for your reply, Mr. Akintunde. Now let's talk about the crude oil. As you rightly said, let's talk about the crude oil once again. Is it true that there is heavy dependence on crude oil?
Yeah, like I said, it's so heavy. There's heavy dependence on crude oil. Don't forget, virtually every time. Recently, we saw there's a kind of a controversy where this lady was invited that sang this lady Hasha. and I think the area at the it has been a center of discussion in Nigeria. If it's not the NNPC saga, it is the oil theft. If it's not the oil theft, it is the oil subsidy. I think recently I was invited on this same show where we talked about oil subsidy.
Yeah, sure.
Imagine the huge amount of money that is spent, that is being spent on oil subsidy year in, year out.
Exactly.
In short, it to the extent that even the experts are warning that in coming year, if you are not careful, there won't be money for any capital development if all the money is being spent on oil subsidy. So, crude oil has been the center of discussion, forgetting the fact that we have other areas we could actually explore on. We have so many sectors that can generate a huge amount of money for this country. Let me quickly cite an instance before I drop on that question. Is that if you are to look at Switzerland, Switzerland, all they do is savings. I mean banking. That's what the country is synonymous to. That's why we often had that Swiss account. Our politicians are opening accounts in Switzerland. So that's what they leverage on, and they are doing wonderfully well. So there are so many areas we could actually explore that could get us this money, and that's the reason for this diversification.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Akintunde. Now let's talk about this question. This question is a very interesting question, and I want you to buttress more on it. According to my research, in 10 to 12 years, crude oil will definitely be a finite resources that cars will no longer use petrol. So why are we acting foolishly?
Well, in my opinion, like you said, crude oil is a finite resource. Well, in my opinion, I think it's just ignorance. Our leaders are acting ignorantly, because in few years to come, most of these cars will not be using. In short, we'll be talking about something has renewable energy and what have you.
Sure.
So, why the country still depends on crude oil? It's maybe because of. Don't forget also, if not for the Russia-Ukraine crisis, by now we ought to have been looking at a paradigm shift as regards crude oil to renewable energy. But because don't forget, Russia is one of the largest producers of crude oil. Just the way we have wonderful and a very highly placed crude oil in Nigeria, they also have the same thing in Russia, and they are one of the largest producers. But because all the Western world, the Western country, they want to sanction Russia, and so many countries fail to do business with Russia. And now they are not looking at other countries that ordinarily they wouldn't even be looking. They ought not to be looking, or they are not really looking out for in the first place. Most of the time, people look out for Russia, and if not Russia, they also look at Saudi Arabia, because Russia is one of the largest producers. Saudi Arabia is also one of the largest producers. Nigeria in Africa is one of the largest producers. But oftentimes, people don't really want to, the marketing this thing because of oil theft, because we have so many criminal elements that are, migrating our crude products from Nigeria to other countries. So therefore, some countries they don't really want to do business with Nigeria. So that's in my opinion one of the reasons that culminate into why our politicians are now focusing on crude oil, because they notice that people no longer want to buy from Russia. Now people are not looking at Nigeria, so therefore it is an opportunity for them to make money, opportunity for them to make billions. That's why there's still over dependency. Acting being Russia, there's the Western world are not really having a headlock with Russia. Nobody will be talking about only little, or let me just averagely. We just be talking about it averagely, about petroleum and what have you. So that's the reason why Nigeria is still dependent. They are still over dependent on crude oil as against other sectors.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Akintunde. Viewers at home, I believe you're enjoying the program. Now to my next question, I want us to talk about the youth, and also, talking about the crude oil as we've been discussing earlier. So this question is actually a very interesting question, and I want you viewers to listen to it. Should the country play precedent in investing in youth than in crude oil?
Well, crude oil is also one of the mineral resources that God has blessed this country with. It should be a blessing rather than a curse. But in my opinion, I think the government they should focus on the youth development.
Sure.
Because let me cite a very good example. Look at some countries that look at what technology could do in a country. Like for instance, look at the Silicon Valley. Look at China. China's another example. Look at the way their youth are producing this. Like I said on this same show, that virtually everything in some countries made in China. Who are those doing it? They are the Chinese. They are the China citizens.
Sure.
So it is not by any other person.
And most of them are youth.
And most of them are, like in the elementary classes, you will see the way youth, small teenagers are coupling phones and everything.
They are talents.
So look at the technology. Who are the youth are the driving force. You won't call it Baba who was retired for a very long time to come out, But youth, they have a very high intellectual quotient,
Sure.
a very strong IQ. They are the driving force of. They are, as regards the tech hub. It is the youth that you are going to see there. Why not developing them? Why not bring out the best in them? Why do you allow them to just waste away? Look at the entertainment industry.
Exactly.
Look at the music industry. Virtually, look at the age range of those in the music industry. Let me cite a very good example. How old is Olamide? How old is Wizkid?
Sure.
How old is Tiwo Savage? How old is all this living Burna Boy? All this living, most of them they are still very much they are below their 40s.
Exactly.
So what I'm saying in essence is these are the driving force of the economy.
Yeah.
Look at the billions amount of not in nairas, I mean in dollars. That these guys look at how much they will accrue to the economy if they are properly if that sector is properly utilized and if that sector is given a very high attention. What I'm saying in essence is these guys, the youth are the driving force of the economy. So in as much we want to diversify, we want to look at that. In short, one of the major precedents or priority that the government should place, they should even place it on the youth more than, I'm talking about human development, human capital. This should be taken they should take cognizance of this sector. And if that is done, I'm telling you, this petroleum will just be more or less like a cushion to just be and then done to the blessing. And do you know how much Nigeria is sowing in the World Bank? Do you know how much Nigeria, do you know our debt level, the amount of money we are owing? I heard recently that Nigeria still wants to go back to borrow from China.
Can you imagine?
Why should we borrow when we have? Why should you?
We have all it takes.
Well, it must we continue, like you said, must we continue to act foolishly? We keep borrowing money that you are borrowing money for generation yet unborn to come and pay. That's not a good omen, and that's not a good precedent. That's not a good inheritance. People want to inherit something good. Nobody wants to inherit debt. You want to inherit a very cumbersome amount of money. You keep borrowing, and it's so terrible.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Akin, today. As he has rightly said, that the youths, they are the drivers of the economy. That is, the government and the federal government should make sure they invest in the life of the youth because they are the glory of tomorrow. So to my next question, Mr. Akin, today. Now, let's look about the tech. How can technology pushing the economy?
Well, technology can push in the economy in so many ways. Technology we have, don't forget now, to know a leading economy, you have to look at the rate at which they move as regards their technology. So, the technology are not anchored on just a kind of. You need the youth to drive the technology.
Sure.
So, like I said, the youth are the drivers of the economy. They are the youth. You cannot place a youth that has little or no knowledge about that technology to be at the center point, to be at the center of technology. Sure. Your youth must be well, and that's why the youth must be heavily invested on. And after that, then you could talk about, we have two kind of knowledge. Let me quickly shape in this academic exegesis. We have two forms of knowledge. We have the procedural form of knowledge, we have the propositional form of knowledge. We have the knowing that, we also have the knowing how. Knowing that, it is the knowledge. The knowing that something is this is the knowledge. But when you know how to do it, knowing that you have a car is a factor. But knowing how to drive a car is quite different. You could use your mouth to drive a car from now to tomorrow. That's the theory. It is. Let me break it down in a very short way for for better comprehension.
Okay.
We have the theoretical knowledge and the practical knowledge. It is not enough for you to, like here in this country where you produce first class computer science and they cannot even build a system. When you have people, you have civil engineers that can tell you how to pour the graphites, the bitumen and everything, but they've never seen one before. So both are very essential. The youth must be well grounded as regards the propositional knowledge and the procedural knowledge. As regards the theoretical knowledge and the practical knowledge. And the government must create an enabling environment. The government needs to start acting like a father that is known for. A government cannot be acting like they can't just choose to have nonchalant attitude as regards this. If you do that, then a disaster is looming. That's why you see the kids you fail to train today will become the bandits and kidnappers that will be on your neck tomorrow. Okay. So I just hope our government they start acting in the father figure capacity that they are meant to act.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Akintunde Vincent. Like this morning, you've been noticing that I am actually laying more emphasis on the youth because I believe that I'm also a youth. He's also a youth. Yes, I'm a youth, so we must actually lay more emphasis on it so that the government and the federal government could be able to invest more on us because we are the glory of tomorrow. So let's talk about the entertainment industry. I think we've talked about you've actually talked about it earlier, but I still want us to talk about it so that the viewers at home will be able to hear what we want to say more on it. Let's talk about the entertainment industry again. The youth, they are the one dominating this industry. So do you think it's a sign that the government are blind to see that these are the drivers of the economy?
Yes, I so much love the way you put it, that maybe they are blind to see or they are just so clueless about it. Now but don't forget, we have the tiers of government.
Sure.
We have the arms of the government. We also have the tiers of the government.
Yeah, sure.
But oftentimes we want to also point accusing finger to just one part, just one sector of the government, and that is the executive. Without forgetting the fact that the executive cannot act alone. We have to act in tandem with other arms of the government. Like we also have the legislature, we also have the judiciary. That's one. And again, let's look at the tiers. We have the state, we have the federal, we have the state, and we have the local. What I'm saying in essence is that when you look at do you know why the box lies on the table of the leading? The executive or the federal, because people always want to act. They want to act the way their headers are acting. That is what we call leadership by example. Having been the federal government are actually acting, they are playing their role well. Like I said, the father figure role. They are leading by example. The state government will take cue. They will also act in the same capacity. What am I saying in essence is the entertainment industry. Okay. It is not just the job of or the work of those at the top alone. In short, those at the top sometimes they are so preoccupied at the top that they barely see what is happening below.
That's true.
But the point is, you have to let people know that this sector is existing. You have to place emphasis on that this sector is actually existing. Then you have to, you push it into the heart and the throat of the state government. Then the state government will not push it into the throat of those at the local government. Before we know it, every area is properly covered. But when you have this nonchalant attitude, people are doing it, and then you're just pulling your hands, or you are just only when to be win a gold medal. That's where you want to congratulate your people. Sometimes you have to send representatives.
Exactly.
You have to be there. You have to be there, not just this, but you don't have to leave the sport minister alone to be there. People must know that we are. Do you know sometimes presidential handshake will go a long way. presidential word of encouragement will go a long way. Anyway, that aside, we are looking at the entertainment industry.
All
There
right.
should be an entertainment hub virtually in every state.
Yeah, sure.
There should be a theater in every state.
Every state.
There should be an entertainment, a village, a I mean, is it a video musical village in every state where youth will go freely, will move freely. I mean, they will go to explore themselves and will bring out their talent. And before you know it, then the country becomes better off.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Akintunde. Now, before we draw the curtain for today's program, I'd like to ask you this question. Don't you think we should talk about the ASU?
Well, like I said,
So-
the youth, they are the future. When you lock them up at home, they are not, no education is given
So
to them.
those that you are expecting to come out well, those trained ones that are being locked at home. So how do you expect them to, to display?
That's the point. That's the point. When you put your glory, the glory of your nation, you put them inside their rooms and you lock them up,
No.
or you send them to the streets to go and be hacked, to go and be to go and mix up with miscreants, to mix up with hoodlums when they're supposed to be in the classroom.
The classroom.
Then you are doing a great. You are creating. You are just destroying them. You are destroying them already. So I just hope that look, no sane, like I said, I used to say this thing, and you should get familiar with that.
Okay.
Like no sane country will lock up their universities for this long.
No, it's not possible.
Since February, for this long,
February.
a sane country. No. I know no sane country will do that.
More than 6 months. More than 6 months. More than 6 months, the student is actually at home without receiving anything. Some of them are at home. Some of them are not even learning.
Do you know the lady? The lady that was killed in Oyo State recently. I think she was a Lautech student.
Can you imagine?
She was kidnapped in that hotel and she was killed brutally.
What's she doing in an hotel? What's she doing?
According to I think he was there to, what's it called? She picked up a job in that hotel, and the owner of the hotel was abducted alongside with her,
Wow.
and they were both killed. Hadn't been school were in session, that lady wouldn't have gone. And that's the only one. That's not the only one that is virtually everywhere. You keep saying youth joining, doing something legitimate and here and there because there's when they are not in school. What do you think?
Yeah, it is well. We gotta help our government. That's just my prayer. So, lastly, before we draw the curtain for today's program, let's talk about this country, Botswana. So let's look at the Botswana government against Nigerian government. What is the secret of their development?
Well, it's because it's the political will.
All right.
They were willing to save, and they've saved for years to come. But we, our politicians, what are they doing? They are buying private jets.
It was the way forward.
They are buying private jets. They are flying first class. They are just moving around the world. So look at some of them are owning estates, building mansions that the unborn generation that they are not even interested in. And against, look at Botswana, like you said, for 200 years now, I think they've got themselves settled. It's so I just hope we have people that like I said, the system needs a thorough sanitize. I know one of the way forward, in my opinion, is that the country needs a thorough sanitize. We need to sanitize the country, sanitize the system.
All right.
Like the constitution must be thoroughly looked into. Like I said, if this constitution is not serving the interest of ordinary Nigerians, it should be trashed. And if not trashed, look into it holistically. If you are going to refurbish it, although you cannot build lies on lies, you cannot build lies on faulty foundation. So the point is, we need a thorough sanitary. And this diversification, it's only when you have the right people at the end of our affair. That's when you talk about diversity. That's when we diversify. When you still have criminals, you still have thieves, you have hoodlums who are there parading themselves as leaders, and they are there because of their personal interest. They will not diversify. They will only be behind that bigger one, the oil sector. And that's what's actually happening. And that's why they fail to realize that agricultural can fetch us money, entertainment can fetch us money, mineral resources can fetch us money, and they're not focusing on what that will give the money, the immediate money. We call it immediate gratification. It is called hedonism, immediate gratification. That's what is wrong with this our economy.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Akintunde Somi Vincent. Thanks for honoring our invitation. God bless you. Now we've come to the end of today's program today. So I believe you enjoyed the program. I still remember your presenter, Kolawole Itunulua. Join us next time. Bye.